fuck it up.
Don't fuck it up.
I'm already fucking it up. Hello?
Come this way. Out of frame. Go for it. Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Band Therapy.
Part D.
We're here again after a month and a half.
At least. It feels like it's been a goddamn eternity.
Well, I had surgery, so we'll just update you with some news real quick.
Yeah, let's start with news.
Clearly we didn't do any more podcasts yet because I had vocal surgery. I got my cyst removed. See you later.
Wait, let's hear the story of the actual.
The end.
No, I want to hear the.
There's a cat on the desk.
What are you doing? She's
our engineer.
She wants to be in this.
Yeah. So I had vocal surgery about a month and a half ago, and I had to be silent for a week at least. I said nothing for 9 days, and it was crazy because I've never done that before.
From my point of view, it was fucking frustrating as all hell because there was a lot of things going on that I was still working on, and I'd have to try and text with her and keep her posted. And I remember it got to the point like day 7, like I don't think I've not spoken to her for a week in like 4 years or 5 years.
True.
That just doesn't happen. So anyways, we got to the point where there was all this stuff that was kind of going on just business wise with Dirk and music things that I'd been working on. And I finally got to the point where I was like, I'm going to call you. You just listen and text your responses back to me. And I would just like, bah, 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 and then I get this like.
And then get silence.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds good.
And then the texts, like, between us is just me responding to this nothing. It's so weird. Oh. So that was interesting. We got through that. And then I started to say things a little bit more each day. And today we thought it was a great time to do this podcast because I just had my follow-up appointment and they said my voice looks great. So, and it feels a lot better, and now I can officially, start doing vocal therapy and getting back into it. I'm going to start doing some vocal sessions this week and slowly get myself back going, but I'm going to be just really good about it this time round. No crazy screaming, right?
I don't know. It depends on what the song calls for.
Yeah.
That's why we've tuned everything down a half step.
We are literally going to tune things down.
Everything. Next time you see us live, all that shit's going to be down a half step.
You're not going to notice anything. But it's going to help because I got to keep this thing going.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else?
Lessons learned.
We did have a band meeting with Sean again.
Yeah, I mean, lots going on. We Stars, our next single, is out.
Nice.
Ding, ding. I think that probably was Sean responding to my last text. We decided to release Stars early. We actually listened to a podcast, a pretty popular independent marketing music podcast. And everything.
After last time, you were like, fuck anyone who tries to say how to market.
Yeah. So, of course, we listened to it
every day.
And then we decided to do the complete opposite of what they said.
I mean. And
we went ahead and released it. I literally was taking a shower and had the idea of like, well, why don't we just put the shit out like now? Like, what are we waiting for?
The thing is, band therapy moment. If you are a huge artist, as many artists do this, they just on a whim drop an album. And it's like, great, awesome. You already have the fan base to just be like so amazed that you dropped an album and everyone's flocking there and listening and it's awesome. And it's like, if you're just coming up, like...
Or even having like a pre-release and then a launch and then a post-launch.
And all of that is great for the artist that
I have yet to see that fucking matter.
Tons of fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like for us, we've tried it the other way, like doing all the pre-release and announcing and saying a week before, 2 weeks before, whatever, and then finally it drops and we're like, cool.
Yeah, and then it's like next.
all right, what now?
Yeah.
Because, like, again, it's like, you know, it independently, we're having to do everything. So, you know, that we're also beholden to the algorithm of social medias. So you just got to keep putting stuff out, but it's like, it's not the same as.
Yeah. It's just, you know, again, like
is what it is.
Going back to this, it just seems like, look, there are plenty of success stories that like, here's how you should do this. All I can tell you is that over the course of 4 years, we're still in the experimental phase and trying to see what works.
I just don't think there's one right way anymore.
Yeah,
like social media is what it is, and it just, something blows up, something doesn't, whatever. Like,
I completely agree. And I will also say with this whole like pre-release bullshit, nothing frustrates me more when like I hear a clip of something and then I go to find it and it ain't out yet. And then it's like, I ain't going to be around in a week to fucking...
Wait, but didn't we just do that?
Yeah, we totally did.
Yeah, we said fuck it.
But it's actually out on YouTube and SoundCloud and Instagram. So anyways, we went ahead and put it out on 3 channels just real quick. I think we put it up on sound.xyz as well, but and Audius. I think we just did those for anybody in Web3. But we pretty much just put it out on Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud. We're like, let's just leave it up here for a couple weeks. It'll drop on all the DSPs on May 29th, so next Wednesday.
Yep.
Fuck Friday. Shit's coming out on hump day.
Why not try something different, you know?
Yeah.
Be bold.
But we did shoot some really cool content this time. It wasn't really as much of an afterthought as it had been in recent months. Like we took the time to shoot some cool stuff. We've got more stuff in the pipeline. We're shooting more stuff today. But Stars is a song that I think we're just super proud of. I know I am. And
we are for sure.
I'm excited for people to hear it and then sort of what the follow-ups are going to be in the pipeline. But yeah, I mean, did we mix that while you were not speaking? I can't remember. Or was it already done?
I don't know. I said it was done. Yeah. Well, anyway. We are searching for a bass player still.
We are.
Now we're really searching.
Yeah.
we
weren't really putting the full court press on, but we have spoken to a few people, and we are going to start auditioning sooner than later.
Yeah.
I think the goal would be to have someone on board and having the material worked up in June.
Yeah.
Is what we're
east of June.
Exactly. Because we know that like shit's going to start popping as of July.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Right?
Shit going pop.
That's east of June, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly. If you wondered what it meant,
there you have it.
July.
It means July. So, long story short, we have been busy as shit without anybody really seeing it. It's all been behind the scenes, but we have been working our ass off while she was, dying basically. I was over at Sean's place and we were working up this cover.
Silently dying.
Yeah, while she was silently dying, I was working with Sean, working up this new cover tune that's in production right now and is probably about like 90% of the way there musically. Yep. Just a couple things. Smidge, actually, you can't see, but she brought her heavy ass fucking refrigerator of a keyboard over so she could play keys.
My SV1 chord weighs as much as I do.
Yes it does.
Yeah.
And we finished up. I think we just listened back to it. We're about like, let's call it 95% of the way on a tune called Golden Crown.
Yeah.
Vocal is done.
Really excited for that one.
Yeah, most of the music's there. I think there's just some stuff that we talked about, maybe some guitar stuff in the outro that I'm going to play around with. And we started working on a new song with Sean on, when was that? Wednesday, Saturday, Friday?
Who cares?
Saturday. Anyways.
So this time we also wanted to do a fun little game where we're going to interview each other. So, because why not? This is a band therapy podcast. And who wants to start?
Why don't you start?
All right. Scoot up. You keep falling back. Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Here. There he is. So, my first question.
Can we do it this way since this is my good side? Like, talk to the back of my head.
This is also my good side, so I win. Okay, Kyle. What was your most influential album growing up that you still feel like has sway.
Ooh, that last part threw me for a curve. Well, the album, I kind of look at my musical life in like phases.
Okay.
You know, the first album that like I was 5 years old, it was 1984, and Michael Jackson put out Thriller, and my parents had it and they played it in the car, and I heard that and was like, oh my God, what is this? And I made them take me to Tower Records at the Beaverton Mall in Oregon, where I was a little kid, and that was like I think that was like my first like album that I bought.
Yep.
And I played the shit out of that thing. Michael Jackson was like the huge influence. I had a really cool older sister that had a lot of hot friends.
Nice.
So I was super in the know on like music as like a really little kid. Like when I was like 4, 5, 6 years old, I was listening to like Duran Duran, Prince, Madonna, Tears for Fears, the neighbor kid across the street, the Lamberts. Like they had a couple of older sons. He would play me like Van Halen, and so I was like, but Thriller was like the one that I would say still has.
All right.
Sway.
So Thriller is your answer.
I would say so. Yeah.
All right.
And plus, like Steve Lukather plays guitar on the whole thing, and it's just fucking insane. He's amazing. You have no idea who I'm talking about.
Not really.
You know the band Toto?
Yeah.
So the main guys in Toto were basically the band that played on Thriller. Like Picaro on drums, like all those guys. They basically were Michael Jackson. They were Quincy Jones's band that he brought into the studio to play on Thriller.
See, I learn things every day.
Yep.
All right, your turn. It can be a weird question too, if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of curious about asking you the same question for starters.
Okay. Honestly, I think you know, but such a big influence has been when I discovered Lana Del Rey.
Yeah, but weren't you like 25?
No, I feel like I was in my early 20s.
But I'm talking like kid, you know, even if it was like Raffi or, you know, Barney, remember Raffi, like the.
Okay, to be real, let's be real. Spice Girls was the first thing. It was my first concert.
Oh, snap.
Up in the nosebleeds, in the grass, and I was all into it. I was definitely.
Were you on grass?
Yeah, at 10. Yeah, totally. So that was probably the first, like, I remember, like, influence. Kind of embarrassing, but I definitely listened to all of the now 5, now 6, now all the way to now. I don't know what they're on.
Right.
Because, like, it was the first Spotify. It was like, shuffle or the freaking shuffle play, like all different things. So I was like super into that. So
yeah, no, that tracks. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. Like there was so many records. Like it's funny. Like I grew up in this I just visited, so I went and helped my mom move while she was recovering. So I was back in Vancouver, Washington, where my mom lives and my sister, and they took me out to my old house, which the address ironically was 555.
Yeah,
I shit you not. And I went to go see it, but during that time period, like Portland, like the outskirts of Portland, Oregon in like the late 70s and early 80s is not what it is today. It was kind of the boonies, and it was basically like you were exposed to MTV.
Yeah.
And just whatever local magazines you could get at the 7-Eleven and whatnot down the street. And I remember when the movie Breakin' came out.
Breakin'?
Yeah, it was like one of the original like breakdancing hip hop movies. Oh. There was like Crush Groove and Breakin'.
Stomp the Yard.
No, that's no.
Too late. Later.
And that soundtrack came out, and that was what introduced me to hip hop. And like that soundtrack, way got me into like what people were doing in the clubs with hip hop and record scratching. I actually remember I had like a little Fisher Price turntable, the one that was almost like the lunchbox, and the lid would come up. It was just plastic with a plastic arm. And after seeing Breakin', I remember I would take I had these little 45s, like these Disney 45s, like Jungle Book and all that shit. And I remember putting my 45 on there and trying to scratch, and they just carved the shit out of my record because I had no idea that they had special needles to allow you to do that.
Why is my record fucked up now?
Yeah, basically. So that was another one in there, but yeah. Anyway.
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought of a fun story that I want to interject that has nothing to do with anything.
Fantastic.
Awesome. But it does, because we are super into manifesting and some witchy stuff. And just what you put forth and what you think about and what you do, action, all leads to everything. So
horror movies, Satanism,
that's what he does. But the other day, I'm taking a run, and I am listening to Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard, who I listen to all the time. And I was listening to this neuroscientist talking about manifesting and the brain chemistry of it and all that. And I'm running down the hill, and as I'm running down, I'm listening to Dax's voice, and then I see Dax, the real Dax Shepard, walking up the hill. And I was like, and then I screamed at him. I was like, I'm listening to you right now, dude. And I literally, and he's like, oh, cool. Which one? And I was like, the neuroscientist. And then I went over, and he's like, I think he's so used to people coming up to him that he knows how to, okay, what's next? Because you just go up there and you're there totally. He is. This is so cool. And then he's like, okay, well, you want to take a selfie? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, I look bad, but let's do it.
Fuck
and
it, let's go.
Got a selfie, and then it was awesome. So
the part
manifested Dax Shepard while I'm listening to Manifesting.
Part 2 of the story is fantastic too.
What?
So a month prior, I am at a...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so a month prior to this incident, I am at the Padre Hotel in Bakersfield, ghost hunting with a couple of friends.
Of course.
Ouija boards, music, all the shit. Anyway, so my lady and I went and got a coffee at this little coffee shop around the corner, and we walked in and we were just paying for our coffee, and the barista out of nowhere is like, "Did anyone ever tell you you look like Dax Shepard?" I'm like, "No," and she's like, "Yeah, you got this kind of celebrity aura vibe thing going on."
Yeah, dude.
And Lo's like, "Yeah." So then a month later, she fucking runs into Dax Shepard.
So the moral of the story is we would love to be on Armchair Expert at some point. Goals!
We want to be headlining
the Armchair Expert podcast.
The Hollywood Bowl in Madison Square
also
Garden.
That.
And yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, that was fun.
We're working on it.
Yep.
It's coming together, and it's all going to start right here in this little room.
That's right. Okay, another question?
Yeah, I got a question for you. How are you feeling?
Pretty good.
How are you feeling about just the status of where things are with just all the whirlwind of changes we've had in the last, let's call it 6 months, between parting ways with Dirk, vocal surgery, just all the emotions and shit that have come along. How are you feeling?
Well, we've talked about this a lot, but I think everything happens for a reason, and
the reason is you.
Hashtag Hoobastank. And so all good things were happening last year. We had these shows that we were really kind of perfecting our show. And getting into the performance of it. And I think I was finding a new side of me performing that I hadn't before as a solo artist and as a, whatever else we were doing in the past few years. And I felt like that was really good to experience. But as we both know, we were going through a lot of challenges with how everything was working and our schedules with Dirk, and just really trying to make it work in a way that it just wasn't working. It's you're holding on so tight, and you're just we're pushing, and it just seems like it's like going back.
The more we push, the more restricted it became.
And I think we both got to a point where we were just like, what isn't working? Like, why aren't we enjoying this anymore? And like, why is this kind of becoming more frustrating than it is fun?
Fulfilling. Yeah.
So up to the end of the year. And then it's funny because I got like the freaking flu for like at least a week and a half. And then it like went away and then I got sick again. And it was just like all these things culminating. And then I kept feeling like, wow, what the hell's wrong with my voice? And like, of course, the voice thing happens right at the end of us, you know, with Dirk parting ways. And like
the last show, you were not okay.
No, like our we did a show. Was it the beginning of the year or the end?
Yeah, it was like the middle of February.
Yeah, and we did this show, and it was a great show, like in Santa Barbara. But I was like so worried because I felt the cyst, and I was like, I don't have the same range as I usually do. And I was like pushing through that show, like, and I just felt like everything I was doing was making it worse, like as I was singing, because it was just like, I know I'm pushing through this voice and it doesn't feel good, and that's like not what you're supposed to do, but it was like we got to get through this show, and so I think all these things started happening, and then funny enough, like because Dirk and his girlfriend had gotten tickets and Airbnbs in Mexico randomly. Like, we had talked about it, and I wanted to like do something fun for my birthday. And he's like, well, why don't you and your boyfriend come to Mexico? And it was like a last minute, like, fuck it. Okay. Like they already had the Airbnbs, all these things. And so we kind of went, and it was like this really great trip, and it was really nice to spend time. And it was kind of like, in a way, became later looking back, like it felt like it was sort of like a goodbye sort of trip, because after that's when we all, you know, decided, okay, well, this isn't working as it is, like we need to figure out the next steps moving forward. So I don't know, it's just interesting how everything kind of culminated in the beginning of this year, end of last year, and now like I feel like we have turned a page in terms of like a new chapter. Like I just feel like, okay, we did that kind of chapter and that energy and that vibe, and you know, I think for us to really move forward and really push this like we want to, it's just we're on the grind again, but in sort of like a new way, and it's
different.
Yeah, it's different. I feel like we're kind of, the songs are going to kind of morph in their own way, and perhaps a little different than they have been. Naturally, because I think we hear things a little different.
We're also better songwriters now, or better performers now, or better players now, better producers.
So I do, and after the surgery especially, like I feel great and I feel re-motivated. So I think it's like, okay, now we have the ability to just work. You know, we do have to find a bass player, but like we're getting through all these things, and we're just like, let's.
It's honestly like the least of my worries. Like we're doing this cover song right now. Like I play bass on it. It sounds fucking great. Like, you know, it certainly hinders us from playing.
Can you play bass and guitar at the same time?
It certainly, you know, hinders our ability to perform. But like I said, it's not at the top of the priority list. Like finishing some of these songs and then kind of going through the new material and the old material and sort of crafting a new set that matches the energy and the vibe of where we're at in our lives now. Because truthfully, there's just a lot of older songs that like it's just not where I'm at. It's almost like a lot of some of that older material to me are like glorified demos and don't really reflect where we're at now. I mean, you know, and even like the last batch of songs we have done, like Parasite, and like, you know, I remember we finished the TikTok cruise, the Virgin cruise, and we came back and Dirk went off obviously to go deal with family stuff, and you and I were like, we're a different band now. Like we got to go write some new material, and that's kind of what sparked the whole last album. But I mean, I'm with you. Like I feel like a sense of renewal. Like I'm super amped. Like it's just easier for us now to. Every week we can just get together one day and shoot some content. We can get together another day and do rehearsal and shoot more content. You know, we're talking and communicating every single day, multiple times a day about.
And it's like, It's hard because like we love Dirk. He's like our family, and but this is just like one of those things where it's like, okay, we just needed this change, and I think he was on a path that was just going this way, and we're like, okay, well, this is kind of just what it is, like, you know.
Everyone's cool, like everyone's friendly, like we still send memes back and forth and chit chat and bullshit or whatever, but you know, he's just at a much different place in his life, and you and I, like, we don't really, I mean, we have like
we have 0 kids.
We have significant others, but we have no kids and any of those sorts of
you have cats,
we have cats.
Which is your
kind of the same difference. There's one just chilling right now on
my piano case.
Our piano case, which is great. Little miso.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. Like, I'm super excited. Sean's been great. Sean is awesome.
Freaking awesome. You guys are gonna see more of Sean.
Yeah, we shot some stuff with him at rehearsal on Saturday. That's pretty funny. That's gonna drop in the next week or so, and we're just gonna keep. That's the thing is, I feel like before it was like we just had, to Smidge's point, we just had these really, really small windows in which we needed to do a whole lot of stuff, and we would push and push and push and try and do as much as we could into these little time frames, and it just wasn't possible, and it just made us stuck. We just got stagnant after a while. At the first part, we were kind of writing this last batch of tunes. Like the first year, we kind of like got through it, and it just felt like 2023. It just kind of just we just started going in different directions, and we just had to be real with each other about that. And so,
okay, this is my last question for you. When you worked as a manager for other bands and was promoting, were you like really enjoying that, or were you like, I'm doing this, but one day I'm gonna be there? Like, was that always the vibe in the back of your head, kind of thing?
Like, you're
like, I'm gonna be on that stage at some point, or was it like,
you know, it's funny, like there were definitely times where I felt like I was sitting in the wrong seat, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I do recall a couple times. So I used to manage, those you don't know, I did work in management for a while, on my own and all. I've worked for other, big managers in the business, but at one time I was managing, who's still one of my best friends, Slim Kid Trey from the Far Side. And I do remember a couple times I was in Europe with Trey for a few shows, and we actually did the Beats by Dre like launch party. Cool. It was like Far Side, Eminem, like Puffy, like it was fucking everybody you could imagine. But I remember like being on the side of the stage going, man, like I miss that. I feel like that's actually where I should be.
Yeah.
And I eventually got out of management, but it actually wasn't because I just wasn't happy doing it. It was just there was other marketing and creative business I was doing that was just paying way more money. And so I had to make a move to just free up time.
Okay, and then follow up to that, but this is also for like anybody who's a musician, because I know I feel this. Do you ever feel like when you're like, I love going to shows and watching bands and watching artists and getting inspired, but then there's the other half of me that's like you're just like, fuck, I just gotta be up there. So it's like almost enjoyably unenjoyable. Like it's so inspiring, and yet so you're just like, okay, like it's that dichotomy, right? Like, do you feel that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the most fun I've actually had in this band was on the cruise, simply because
we were the band.
Well, we were the band. I mean, it was
other bands.
It was
but we were the independent band.
We were like the band. Like, it was definitely cool to walk around and see your name on the marquee in the lights with your picture performing tonight. Yeah. But really because we were playing basically every night, if not every other night. Sometimes it was 2 nights in a row. We get a night off. We play again. It was like 9 shows in 14 days.
Yeah.
That to me was the most fun I had, because I did notice that the more we caught the rhythm, by the last show I was like, oh fuck, can we do this for like another 2 weeks?
And then I was like, nope.
Now time to go back to LA, back to reality.
Yeah,
but
that was really fun.
Yeah, I hear you. Like
and then it's also like a question for, not that anyone can answer right now, but the idea
answer
that,
in the
like,
comments below.
Yeah, answer in the comments. Regardless of what level of musician you are, like, do you still feel that? You know, I always want to know that. Like, even if you're up there, like, really up there as an artist in a band and everything, it's like you see another band doing some shit, and you're like, oh man, I gotta get back out there. You know,
I'd be curious, like, who is actually watching this, because I will say we do now live in a much different time of bedroom musicians that turn on their camera and don't really have the experience of...
I mean, this is for anyone who's freaking interested, but...
Yeah, but just curious, because, like, you know, like I said, we do live in a time of a lot of bedroom musicians that flip on the camera and just want to be stars on YouTube and TikTok or whatever, and, you know, we get off on playing on stage and performing for people and getting those, like, pre-show jitters, then getting up there and be just like, ah! Fucking loving it, enjoying it, and having a good time.
It's still hard for me to, like... It's great, and it's like you walk off that stage and you're like, fuck yeah, I just did that. Like,
all amped up.
But, like, man, sometimes the before, you're just like, why do I do this? Like, I'm so nervous. I've been nervous for 3 hours, and I have to wait through sound check and, like, all these things.
You guys are on in 5 minutes. Wait, I have to pee.
No, I can't even tell you how many times this is just a little too much information, but how many times I go pee or other... like before a show, because I'm so nervous.
Oh man!
Listen, it is.
You just gotta channel your chi.
Yeah. Anywho.
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Okay.
In follow up to, you know, sort of you're feeling rejuvenated and what do you say, re-energized right now?
Yeah.
Where do you see us in a year? And don't hold back. Do you think it's going to be more of this? Like we're going to be sitting in this room?
I think we're going to be doing all of this, but I would like there to be doors that have been opened and like our song or multiple songs have been received and are doing much bigger and reaching more audiences, and we're doing more shows, and we're perhaps opening for a bigger band, or we're, you know, doing little tours and building, and I'm
following the yellow brick road.
Yeah, and I'm working less said other job, which I am grateful for, but, you know, so that this can be my job, our job, you know, so I think it's going to be a lot of this stuff too, and like all the things we do anyway, but like with more eyes and more help and all that.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I feel that we are on the right path and good things are going to present themselves to us.
Hashtag manifesting. Thank you for joining us.
Hashtag Dax Shepard. Yes. So we're going to keep doing this again.
Yep.
We're going to come back now that she can actually speak. We normally wouldn't have been on like a 6-week hiatus, but she just wasn't able to talk. But we're getting together every week, and we're really in thick of it with music and getting some of these this material done and getting start auditioning people and working up the live show. We've even started reaching out to keyboard players so we can get off some of the fucking backing tracks for keys, which we don't really like to do, but some of the keys are so important to the music, and she doesn't want to sit there and like, you know, she's got to be the front woman out there and like performing. So we're figuring this thing out, and we're super stoked. We're putting
into the universe that we need keyboardist and a bass player
at the same time, preferably. That would be
See you soon.
That'd be the big picture goal. So anyway, this has been Band Therapy.
Band Therapy.
Stars is out May 29th.
Yeah, May
next
29th.
Wednesday.
Official release on your Spotify, all that fun stuff.
Give it a listen. We'll have tons of content coming out, and we'll catch you guys again soon.
Toodaloo.